Hey, welcome to Intuitive Insights. I'm so excited you're with me today. This is a space in which we are here to form a beautiful family that you can feel safe in learning more about yourself, astrology, human design, the human consciousness, and your intuition. So today I wanted to talk about the full moon in Scorpio that's happening on May 12th. It's a big deal. Most of the full moons and new moons this year feel like a big deal, and I realize that because there's a lot of intensity. And some of the intensity has to do with the fact that we've got a lot of our outer planets that are changing signs this year and next year, which is a very big astrological shift that we have not seen in our lifetime. And another part that I want to talk about is that Pluto has just gone retrograde. And what that means for all of us collectively and what it can mean for you as an individual. So let's get started today. So I'm going to pop up the United States' astrology chart, and we're just going to talk about this in terms of really understanding Pluto. So Pluto rules Scorpio in the more current astrology. And currently in the United States, Pluto is landed in the second house. So what happened was on May 4th, Pluto is what we went. It's kind of, it feels like it's stopped moving forward. It doesn't really stop moving, but it feels like that when we're looking at the stars in this moment. And every planet goes into retrograde. And retrograde just means that we have an opportunity to review things for ourselves. But what is the meaning behind it? So Pluto is all about transformation. It's about secrets. It's about money and other people's money a lot of the times is what Pluto represents. But a lot of the secrets that come out when Pluto is really honing down on something is if you have secrets about money or financial affairs or SX, right? That Pluto will churn it up because it's not afraid to go deep. If you know any Scorpios, because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, and if you know any Scorpios, you know that they have a tendency to like want to keep their personal stuff really tight, deep within. It takes a lot for you to pull it out of a Scorpio. And when that happens, when they do divulge, look out because there's going to be some probably really deep insights. And Scorpios can be very magnetizing. So it's kind of like this lure of like, it's time to tell your secrets. It's time to come on out and say, this is what I need to be working on, and this is the new thing. Because Pluto doesn't stop at surface layer. It is a water sign. It's part of a water sign, which it rules Scorpio. Scorpio is a water sign. So it can go deep into the depths of whatever it is that it needs to be looked at to be brought to the surface. And whenever Pluto shows up in a new sign, which it just did recently, it's finally hit Aquarius for the first time, which means it's going to be digging up anything that does not give people's individual sovereignty. And with Pluto now going retrograde, we're going to have some time to kind of reflect on all of that. We're going to have an opportunity to say or allow things to bubble up as the consciousness, because if I'm talking globally, I'm talking about the conscious effects of what Pluto might represent for us, which would be we're probably going to find out some more financial secrets of things that have gone on, or some SX secrets that have gone on globally of people maybe who are in power. And personally, what's the most important thing for you to figure out is what house it's hitting for you. This is just the United States and where it's hitting right here. We just went through the Pluto return last year, which means Pluto was right here conjunct on Pluto, which just means that we had, and we've had a lot of eruptions about those type of things, top down, because Pluto was actually in Capricorn, which has to do with institutions. So we know that that's going on. There's review going on. And because Pluto actually rules the eighth house in its normal setting, that gets activated. So it means that we all have an opportunity to see, like, we may see some fluctuations. We already are in our economy, in what we value, because it's in the second house. Two is about our values, and the eighth house is other people's money. So Pluto is still doing the dance of like, what do you all folks want to value? What's important to you? And in truth, I realize we've got a lot going on politically, and I think that it's really going to be about the people showing up and doing our work. This is the thing that we've been talking about. If you're a light worker, which I'm assuming you are if you're on this channel, is that we've all got to do our due diligence on what we believe in and where we're spending our money and using our voice so that people who work for us, which really is the government, they work for us. They can't dictate to us. We get to have a say in that. That's why We do the voting system here in this country. And now I'm going down a whole new pathway I didn't want to go down. But I just want you to understand that we as the people have to use our voice and we have to use our dollars and we have to have a deeper understanding of what we value because that's what we're going through right now. So the new moon, let me find the new moon. So we have our full moon. So we have the full moon in Scorpio, which is going to happen on Monday. And it's at 22 degrees in Scorpio. And this is interesting because this particular full moon, as you can see, it's also having a direct conjunction with Uranus. So what does that all mean? This particular full moon is going to be really an opportunity for you to go inward and to ask yourself, where is it that I'm giving my power away? What is it that needs to die off? What is it that I need to be very, very truthful about myself in situations? And it feels even heavier because I think of the activation of what Pluto's going through itself. But this full moon is really going to give you an opportunity, if you can, to pause for a moment. Because anything that is triggering you right now, what I would say is whatever's triggering you is giving you a hint of what it is you need to be looking at for yourself and within your life. And sometimes that's not flipping easy. I'm going to take off the share. And sometimes that's not easy. I personally have just gone through one myself, something that I have been avoiding and avoiding and avoiding, and I couldn't avoid it anymore. So I got some support, right? I had a somatic healing. I have a practitioner that I work for, and I contact her and I said, I'm really feeling I need to work on these aspects because they keep bubbling up to such a purpose that I feel frozen again. And anytime you feel frozen in any type of decisions and you can't trust your strategy and authority in human design or understand, what's right for me or trust your intuition, that's always a signal. And because it's sitting next to Uranus, there's going to be some surprises. There are going to be things that you're going to get triggered on. And again, in the moment, it feels really uncomfortable, right? Who wants to be triggered? However, if you can ask yourself consciously, why am I being so triggered? Because a trigger just typically in the moment triggers mean that there's a trail to it. There's something else that you haven't dealt with, or something else that maybe you've dealt with a little bit, but it hasn't had its full moment of expression within you. And so that's why I say it's so important to be more cognizant of what's happening between now when I put this out and 3 days after. So I'd say all the way to the 15th of May. It's going to be important for you to be cognizant of like what it is that I am triggering and what is happening for me. Let me look at my notes some more too, you guys. So it can be emotionally intense. It can be that actually you find that maybe some creative ideas come through. Because when you go into the depths of something and you're churning it up, of course, new creative ideas, new pathways may open up for you. Some long repressed secrets, maybe some family secrets might be coming up. So it's about learning that this is your time to transform whatever you want. And that's the cool part in all of this. We still have power. We have our own sovereignty of like how I want this to happen. And so when I recognized what I was getting triggered on, I chose in that moment that I want to be so present with this that I can change the outcome of it. I don't believe astrology and human design or even my intuition are going to always tell me like this is what's going to happen. It is just a tool to tell you these are the energies that are present. How do you want to use them and participate with them? So it's a great time to maybe, full moon, what is the full moon about? It's looking at the things that are holding you back. What are the things that you keep clogging the pathway up with in order to get to that thing that you're desiring and that you're really wanting in your world? And that sometimes with full moons means we got to take a pause, take a look, and be really honest with ourselves. So, if you can't be honest with yourself because it's really deep, that's when you reach out to friends, family, therapists, counselors, coaches, so that they can support you. I feel like that's all I've been doing all week for my clientels is like big secrets have been coming out and supporting them through that and how you can deal with it. Because guess what? If it's your secret that's coming out, you need to be able to support yourself in healing and forgiveness. Because Pluto doesn't churn things out to make you feel like a burden. It's not here to make you feel like it's always your fault or that people are going to be mad at you for the rest of your lives. That's not the purpose of this full moon. The purpose is that if you've done something that you are not feeling 100% lined up with, or maybe you have done some secrets in the past that are going to pop up, how can you forgive yourself? And that will be your question. And that could be what's bubbling up for yourself. Like, yeah, I did this in the past, and I'm still holding on to the guilt or the residue from it when probably everybody else has gone through it. Or maybe you haven't apologized for something. Maybe you haven't looked directly at the person that you um, caused harm and pain onto. And this is going to be the time to just be that way. Why it's so uncomfortable is, like I said, Pluto and the full moon in Scorpio, that is not an easy place. But boy, when it opens up, it's very sincere. And you will be able to kind of feel that all just like drip away. It doesn't necessarily happen overnight. So whether you are journaling or doing somatic healing or yoga or Tai Chi or Qigong, or maybe you're doing the emotion code, whatever it may be, give yourself the time to do that. I think it's very unique because I think there could be some um no matriarchal wounds that are going to be bubbling up. But I also know it could actually be because, Mother's Day in the United States is this Sunday. For some people, that's going to be a trigger, and for other people, it's not. But statistics typically show that during this type of weekend, a lot of crime and stuff kind of goes down because everyone's kind of focused on the matriarchal in that moment, which is quite cool. But it doesn't mean that things won't be bubbling up. Maybe we'll be finding out some things about some females around us that are in it. It doesn't mean that's going to happen for everybody, but that is definitely a possibility. We also had what was my other notes on this? Saturn, 29 degrees, and that's coming up. And I think I'll probably do a different video on that because Saturn going into Aries is going to be big. So think about this. Where are you giving your power away? Because your power, even if it feels like you have done something to somebody else, you're giving your power away by not being honest and frank about it to yourself and doing that forgiveness work. Or maybe you find out that you've gotten triggered on it. When you're triggered by something, you are in that moment giving your power away unless you sit with the energy and be with it. So part of my own journey, it's not my own journey, but part of what I have been sitting in as of late, and this is now we're going in more of the intuitive insights with all of this, is there has been this new awareness of how energy is shifting and changing so quickly because we have hit more of the age of Aquarius, which means time feels like it's speeding up. And you probably all have had examples as of late, like how quickly the time is rolling on. And it means that you could have highs and lows in one day, and highs and low and highs and low. And what I've been hearing through my own channeling and intuition is that you guys are now starting to see what it's like to live in this particular space and time and a new space and time. And so you're bouncing back and forth on things. And that's just the way it's going to be for a while until we all start to stabilize our energy, or we can stay into a different dimension that feels a little bit more I hate to use the word higher frequency, but I don't know what other words to use for it. But there's going to be we've got this new opening now. Enough of us have tapped into this higher frequency space. But the problem is that in between it, anything that you're holding on to from your past, full moon in Scorpio, great opportunity to work through this. Anything that you're holding on to that really can't go into the next dimensional or time space area is the thing that's probably going to be bubbling up for you. It could be because the extremes of what people can have happen in a day is nothing that we could have even imagined 5 years ago. Typically, when I was working with clients 5 years ago and they had a situation going on, it would be that they would be in the situation for a really long period of time, a lower frequency, something that didn't feel comfortable for a really, really long period of time. And they may perk up a little bit, but there wasn't these high extremes. And these high extremes, if you're experiencing them, I'm just telling you, I think that that means that you are tapping into another time space reality and then you're popping back out. And we don't need to have judgment on that. It's just where we are collectively. But it also excites me because I realize that even though I've just gone through something really intense, I know in the next moment I might feel really elated, which is so different than what I was feeling 5 years ago. 5 years ago, even if I was trying to work out of something that was a lower frequency, it took me longer to get out of it. And these are the little signs that people talk about this like the Mandela effect. These are the little signs that you can start to experiment for yourself. Because what is the Mandela um, experiment? Is just the idea that all of a sudden you are perceiving things differently. Your world looks different, and it could just be one thing, but now what we're actually feeling it with our physical bodies, like, oh my gosh, that was great news. And then you get off and then you get some other news of like, whoo, that was low and intense, and then you go back, oh, this feels really good. So my guides just really wanted to say that if this is happening, do not fret, enjoy it, because it means that the more that you are just so fully present with what you're experiencing in your day, what magic can truly unfold for your tomorrows. And I'll give an example of this really quick. So I was working at a coffee shop, and all of a sudden, something felt off. Like I was just sitting there working, minding my own business, had my headphones on, and all of a sudden I felt this really funny feeling in my stomach and I felt uncomfortable. And I'm like, what is going on? There was hardly anyone in the coffee shop, so I didn't feel like it was necessarily anybody else around me. I happened to pick up my phone and I looked at it, and there was an email that I had received that kind of spun me out a little bit. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? I'm starting to sense what's coming through in the moment, even though I'm not aware of it, but my higher soul self is. And my psyche was telling me there's something you need to be dealing with. Here it is. In the next minute, I received an email from another person who was all excited about a retreat I was putting together and wanted to sign up. So there was highs and lows, highs and lows. And so that's what I mean by how quickly the energies can shift. So I would love to know in the comments if you are experiencing this and what it feels like for you, because you could be experiencing it a little differently than I am, or a lot of my clients are. But forgiveness, a lot of self-care this weekend, knowing that you are absolutely loved, even if you feel like there's something bubbling up that may not be the best thing to share with other people, you're safe in doing so. But to also be mindful that if you are triggered, be mindful before you say words. Words can really hurt. And this energy of this full moon could hurt or it could heal. So which one are you going to choose? Until next time, many blessings.